I'm Robin, and this is my true story. Miracles for me were always really pivotal moments when I think God wanted to show me how real He was, because He was seeking me out. And I didn't realize it so much until the miracle happened. My first one was when I was about 15, and my mother was diagnosed with mental illness and was struggling real bad. I found a suicide note on our kitchen table one time, and I was very perplexed. And I remember a Campus Life college group talking to me about God, saying that you could, draw on Him at any time and ask Him to be there for you, and lean on Him for anything. And I was toying with it. And this time, when I read that note, I ran out to the front yard and was frantic, and I didn't know what to do. I was all alone, and I dropped to my knees and looked straight up to the sky and screamed in the middle of the day, God, if You're real, please don't let my mom die. And immediately the phone rang, and I got up and I ran into the house, and it was my father telling me that my mom was okay and in the hospital, that she was bypassed up at a Horsetooth Reservoir, getting ready to drive off a cliff, and 2 officers cut her off. What happened was my mother was on heavy medications to help her with her mental illness, and she went to the pharmacist earlier that morning and asked to re-up on her medication. The pharmacist felt that she was more nervous than normal, maybe asking for her medication a little too early, and so he was skeptic of her asking for more. He went ahead and gave her her medication that she needed, but he was very leery as she walked away. So he called a police officer that day and said, there's a woman driving a Ford Red LTD. And so the police officers in town were on the lookout for my mom. And there happened to be 2 officers up at Horsetooth Reservoir during that time doing their rounds when they spotted my mom's red car. She was right at the edge of the cliff, and they both intervened and parked in front of her, and took her and put her into the took her away, called an ambulance kind of thing or whatever they needed, and she was sent to the hospital. I knew at that moment that since they saw her attempting, that it was the pivotal moment, that they did stop my mom from dying, and it was real to me that the Lord answered my prayer, and showed me that everything was okay. And had it been earlier, I feel maybe she might have slipped through the cracks. She might have driven off and maybe attempted it later. But when the urgent call went in and the officers were all on it, they found her, right at the moment that she would not have made it had she have driven over that cliff. I just knew that that moment was totally orchestrated by God, and that He knew that I was going to call on Him, and that He knew He was going to already save my mom. And from then on, I had such a strong peace, and the fear immediately went away. Of course, I knew my mom was okay, but I also knew that God heard me, and I knew that I could always ask Him for anything, and that He's never far from my side.